Welcome to God is Love Ministry 7. God bless you and thank you for joining me in this Bible study. I'd like to show you evidence in the scriptures that Revelation 12 signs are not mid-tribulation events like a lot of people believe that don't know a lot about this topic. But even people that do know about this topic may have missed these small little details that actually are really big. There's a couple of details that show a transition in time and in power on earth, and I would like to point those out to you. And just to start off, just as Revelation 11, we can read about the two witnesses who will give their testimony for 42 months, which is 3.5 years. That's actually the first 3.5 years of the tribulation period. And so Revelation 11 is actually an event or events that lead up to the midpoint of the tribulation period. So when the two witnesses have finished their testimony for 3.5 years, then they will be put to death and God will resurrect them from the dead and they'll be called up to heaven. After that is when the seventh trumpet is sounded, and that begins the second half of the tribulation period. So likewise, Revelation 12 is also an order of events that lead up to the middle of the tribulation period. So Revelation 12 is a summary beginning with the rapture of the church and leading up to that midpoint of the tribulation period where the woman, who is Israel, a certain select group of Israelites who are hidden for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. It says in Revelation 12, starting in verse 13, it says, "When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the desert, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and a half a time, out of the serpent's reach." And that wording is also used in the book of Daniel, and that means 3.5 years. Verse 15, "Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to make war against the rest of her offspring, those who obey God's commandments and hold to the testimony of Jesus." So there's an order of events that lead up to the dragon during the time which he pursues the woman. Then she's hidden, and then after she's hidden from his reach for the last 3.5 years, that's when he goes off to make war against the rest of her offspring for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. And actually, in the book of Daniel, we can read that same thing where the horn, who represents the Antichrist, will actually wage war against the saints. It says in Daniel chapter 7 verse 21, "As I watched, this horn was waging war against the saints and defeating them, until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came when they possessed the kingdom." And then it says down in verse 25, "He will speak against the Most High and oppress the saints and try to change set times in the laws. The saints will be handed over to him for a time, times and a half a time." And this is during the time that the woman's hidden and he's going off, the dragon's going off making war against the rest of the saints. And how does the dragon go off and make war against the rest of the saints? He gives his power to the beast. So now here is the part where I believe that a lot of people have missed. In Revelation 12, verse 3, it says, "Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his heads." So notice here, the dragon, he has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his 7 heads. Then in Revelation 13, verse 1, it says, "And the dragon stood on the shore of the sea. And I saw a beast coming up out of the sea. He had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on his horns, and on each head a blasphemous name." So now this beast comes up out of the sea, which Revelation 17:15 says that the many waters are the people. So the beast comes up out of the sea, and he's representing this final world kingdom led by the Antichrist. And in Revelation 13 verse 4, it says, men worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. So the beast is not the dragon gives his authority to the beast. But now at this point, for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period, notice how the dragon before in Revelation 12:3 had 7 crowns on his 7 heads. But now the beast, at those last 3.5 years, the beast has 10 crowns upon his 10 horns. And in verse 5 it says, the beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and to exercise his authority for 42 months. That's where the last 3.5 years come in. He opened his mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. He was given power to make war against the saints and to conquer them. And he was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All the inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world. So this prophecy coincides with what we just read in Daniel chapter 7. So this is the detail that many people miss, is the 7 crowns upon the 7 heads on the dragon for those first 3.5 years. And then for the last 3.5 years, there's actually 10 crowns upon the 10 horns. And the beast represents the dragon. The dragon gives his authority to the beast. The beast also represents the past world kingdoms. Those 7 heads represent past kings as well as the Antichrist as representing one of the heads. And the Antichrist actually received his crown at the opening of the first seal in Revelation chapter 6 verses 1 and 2. The Antichrist is the rider on the white horse, going out as a conqueror bent on conquest. And in Daniel chapter 8 verse 25, it says that by peace he will destroy many. So he's going to be representing peace. That's why he comes on a white horse with a bow but no arrow. Maybe that could point to the fact that he's going to come in the name of peace, but by peace he will destroy many. So he's going to use peace as a cloak to hide his true self at first. And then in Daniel chapter 9 verse 27, he will confirm a covenant for 7 years. So at the beginning of the tribulation period, he will have already confirmed that covenant, beginning the 7-year tribulation time clock. And then in the middle of the tribulation period, he will desecrate the 3rd Jewish temple, and he will set himself up to be worshipped as God. And that is when he has power over the whole entire earth for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. So who are the 10 crowns representing if the 7 heads represent kings that have already come and gone according to Revelation 17? So we'll just start reading to see what this imagery represents. Verse 9 in Revelation 17 says, this calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen. So 5 had already come and gone. And 1 is, so during the time of the Apostle John. And the other one has not yet come, but when he does come, he must remain for a little while. The beast who once was and now is not is an 8th king. He belongs to the 7 and is going to his destruction. Verse 12, the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. They have one purpose and will give their power and authority to the beast. So we know this is not a literal hour, just as the day of the Lord is not a literal day, it's a time. So for 1 hour, for a short period of time, there will be 10 kings who will come into power in the future, and they will give their authority to the beast. And if we read in Daniel's prophecy about the 4 beasts, we can see that there's some similarities between this beast in Revelation that's going to lead the final last, world kingdom during the tribulation period. In Revelation 13, verse 2, it says, "The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority." And then in Daniel, let's go to Daniel chapter 7. It's hiding on me. Let's see. It's before Hosea. Okay, so Daniel chapter 7. He also sees beasts coming up out of the sea. In Daniel 7, verse 3, it says, "Four great beasts, each different from the others, came up out of the sea, up out of the earth, up out of the peoples, from among the people." And then he sees a beast like a lion. The first one is like a lion. The second beast is like a bear. The third beast is like a leopard. And the fourth beast is terrifying and frightening and very powerful. And it has 10 horns. Great beasts are 4 kingdoms that will rise from the earth. But the saints of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever. And then it says farther down into verse 21, or in verse 20, it says, "I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on its head and about the other horn that came up, before which 3 of them fell, the horn that looked more imposing than the others, that had eyes and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I watched, this horn was waging war against the saints and defeating them." And then if you go down a little farther, it says, verse 23, "He gave me this explanation. The fourth beast is a 4th kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. The 10 horns are 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. After them, another king will arise, different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings." So according to Revelation, the Antichrist is actually going to receive power from those 10 kings. He's actually going to subdue 3 of them according to this. And it says he will speak against the Most High. Okay, we've already read that. So these 10 horns are 10 kings who come out of that 4th kingdom. Now this dream of the 4 beasts that Daniel had coincides with the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had of the metallic image of the 4 kingdoms, and then that 5th kingdom would come out of the 4th, as the 4th was the legs of iron, and then the feet were iron and clay, a mixture, and that was the last world kingdom, and then it would be crushed by Jesus Christ's return. So as we can see, those 10 horns that John saw on the beast, the Apostle John saw on the beast, they will receive their crowns at the appointed time for those last 3.5 years, when the Antichrist will have authority over the whole entire world. So that's just what I wanted to show you guys, just to share with you that there is still more to learn about Revelation 12, but I think it's fascinating that we can see evidence in the scriptures from the crowns beginning on the 7 heads of the dragon in Revelation 12:3, and then that transition of authority and power when we see the beast in Revelation 13:1 having the crowns on the 10 horns. That means that those 10 kings will have come into power by then. So, God bless you, and Maranatha. Jesus Christ is coming back, and I hope it's soon.